Hello everybody, welcome to my new Sunday market breakdown. So as usually we started the DXY at the monthly chart. So what can we still see on the monthly? As previous weeks ago, we are still bullish on the monthly chart. So what can we see? We have still this first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, the bullish M that can play out to the upside. So what we are seeing now is we are at the monthly lows. You can see the buyers kicking in from there, and we can possibly again kick in from that point. So what is a nice sign to have is I drew my horizontal line at this lowest wick from that monthly, and you can see every time we went below that and we closed above, then we went to the upside to take some liquidity. So now the liquidity has taken with that weekly candle, which closed back above that black horizontal line, as you can see. So there is a high chance that the liquidity has been taken and the sellers went out, and the banks and institutes like to buy them. So if I go to the weekly, you can see it also on the weekly. The weekly is still bearish because we have here this high here, and this is our new low because this week's came to the same lows here. So this is one leg for me. That's why we went from here to the downside again, because the weekly was still bearish. And now what can we see on the weekly? We are at this weekly lows. So the buyers can still kick in. But what the nice thing to see is I placed my horizontal weekly reverse point here at this weekly wick. And I can see we just went below that. So the liquidity has been taken on the monthly and the weekly. So there is a high chance that we can go to the upside. So if I go to the daily now, what can we see on the daily? On the daily, we had some very big impulsive move to the downside, and then we had some corrective nature with that trend, as you can see, so we can break out of it. There is a high potential to do that, but we are still bearish because we made here this bearish W that can still play out to the downside. So I expect short term for sure some bullish momentum to make here a pattern or at the daily highs, and maybe a breakout of it to make then that shoulder one, head shoulder two. But I expect some bullish momentum to kick in. How long it will be lasting, nobody knows, but I think we can go for sure within these flip levels and make here a pattern, or we can break out of it to go to the upside. So this is what I can see for now on the DXY. If I go on the 4-hour, we are still bearish because we have this lower high. This is our lower low, so we are struggling to break it. So we need to first break it to make some higher highs and higher lows. So yeah. So if I go now to my first pair, Euro USD. So on the weekly, there is a nice sign for a potential reversal. We are still bullish on the weekly because we have here this low and this is our high. We are still bullish, making this bullish M potentially because this weeks came to the same highs here. So this is one leg for me. So that's why the bullish M. Then I took my horizontal line, blue line, as my reverse point on this weekly wick high. And you can see we just came back and we closed below. So there is a probability or a high chance that we can have some bearish orders kicking in from that point because the DXY is looking bullish, and then Euro USD can go to the downside. So if I go to the daily now, because the weekly is clear for me, we have that weekly bullish candle close, we can go to the downside, but we are still bullish. So if I go to the daily, what can we see on the daily? Okay, why I'm looking at the daily is because we have this first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. This is not the only reason I'm looking at it, because we have here our shoulder one, head, shoulder two. So we have a pattern within a pattern with that ascending trend line holding the price up. So there is a nice probability that this pattern can play out because we have a pattern in a pattern. If this was only a pattern, I would stay out of it because there is a high chance that we can break under it, and then we can make the shoulder one, head shoulder two. So because of that weekly liquidity that was taken from that weekly highs. So yeah, on the 4-hour, the price needs to just have some corrective nature to go to the upside again. So this needs to develop a little bit more. Then EURNZD on the weekly chart. What can I see on the weekly chart? This is a nice weekly chart because we broke out of these weekly highs. We had a nice, very big impulsive candle close. So yeah, this can potentially be some resistance, and this can be potentially support, aligning with the daily zone of interest. As you can see, I drew my horizontal blue line here, and I saw there was a nice supply and demand zone holding the price very nice up. So this is some support, resistance here, then here some support, resistance, potentially support again. So this is a very nice region to look for potentially more upside momentum. We are also bullish on the weekly. We have still that bullish M that can play out here. So this is still in play. Then the daily. If I go to the daily, what can you see? We have a potential pattern within a pattern. So the first pattern is the bigger pattern. First leg, second leg, third leg, the potential bullish M. And then we have the same highs here. So we expect the same low. So we have a bullish M within that, a natural M. So that's what I can see, that the price can potentially come back corrective to the daily lows, and then I can look for a pattern to go to long. If that doesn't happen, the price will go to the upside and potentially make then just the bullish M then. So on the 4-hour, the price is very impulsive going. So I expect some corrective nature counter to the trend after that for potentially more upside momentum. So we need to wait what will happen there. Then CADJPY on the weekly chart. What can you see on the weekly chart? So we are at this weekly lower high zone. We are at it because we have here our lower high. This is our lower low. These are the same lows, and we had some liquidity find here because the week came lower than this weekly reverse point. So that's why we went to the upside. So we can also make a pattern within a pattern on the weekly. We have this first leg, second leg, third leg, the bearish W. Within that, the same low. So we expect the same highs. This is a natural W. So we expect the price to come till the same weekly highs of that natural W. So that's why I drew my weekly zone here, that we can touch this for potential more downside momentum. So the price didn't yet tap that, so we can have still some room to the upside. So I went to the daily, and what I saw on the daily was we have a pattern. We have our first leg, second leg, third leg, potential fourth leg coming back till that daily IC candle. Between all the blue candles, you have one red candle that works like a magnet most of the times. So we expect some pullback till that red candle here, daily zone of interest, white zone. So on the 4-hour, what can we see? Still very impulsive. So I want to see some corrective nature, and then we can go to the upside. Then NZDCAD on the weekly chart. What can we see on NZDCAD? Yeah, it's very clear. We have this low, we have this high, impulsive move, very impulsive, and then after an impulse, mostly of the time, we expect a correction counter to a trend. As you can see, already a descending channel. And what I can see now is potentially forming that bull flag. So we have that first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, and fifth leg already coming down. So you have that first touch, second touch, and then the third touch aligning with that like this descending trend line here, as you could say it like that, like this. So the bull flag can play out. If we have a daily bullish pattern, we can take such patterns, because the weekly is indication of bullish for me, because you can potentially have that shoulder 1, head shoulder 2. So this is a bullish indication. But we can still trade this potentially to the downside, because this descending channel can last for multiple times. We just don't need to break out of it. So so I will delete this. So we have that weekly very big impulsive bearish candle close. So we can also form a fib completion from the higher till the low, so the price can come back till all the way this weekly fib completion. So we have still some space to go to the downside, so I went to the daily. And what I saw on the daily was, so I will adjust this zone here a little bit more, like this. So we can still go to the weekly minus 27. And on the daily, what you can see is we have that first leg, second leg, third leg, potential fourth leg coming back to the daily highs maybe, or making here in the middle of the fib levels a pattern to go to the downside. So on the 4-hour, it's too impulsive to see. Yeah, it's just very impulsive coming to the downside. So I expect some corrective nature and then some pattern to go to the downside. Then AUDNZD, this is the last pair. So if I go to the weekly, what can you see? On the weekly, you have this potential shoulder 1, shoulder 2, which is already reversed from, where it already reversed from. So yeah, now we can make this potential smaller shoulder 1, head, shoulder 2. As you can see on the line chart, it will be more clear. Shoulder 1 here, head, shoulder 2, price can come back very corrective to go to the upside. So this is what I can see on AUDNZD. So yeah, and as you can see from this point, we have found some liquidity. As you can see, this is a clear supply and demand zone, buyers kicking in, buyers, then here's some buyers, resistance, sellers, support here, support. So it's a clear supply and demand zone. That was holding the price up, and it acted like that also. So we have that weekly bullish candle close. I can now go to the daily, and on the daily, it's very obvious for me. We have this shoulder 1 here, head, shoulder 2, within that a bullish M with that IC in it. So we act like resistance in the head, support, supply and demand zone. So I hope the price can come back correctively till the shoulder 1 zone, and then we can go to the upside till the daily minus 27. That's what I want to see. Then on the 4-hour, price just also again very impulsive, so I want to see some corrective nature, then a pattern or diesel on that daily shoulder 1 zone. So this was my forecast for upcoming week. So I hope you had a nice week, and I see you next week. Bye.